Thank you for turning to page 121. After quite a long walk, you've made your way to the fabled dungeon east of Midal. Midal, the small town where you left your horses because the locals insisted nobody rides to the walk. You may only walk to the walk. And as you approach, you see the graveyard that marks the entryway to the fabled dungeon of Wizard's Walk. Thank you again for turning to page 121. Today we're going to take a look at a place in Greyhawk that holds a very special spot in my heart. This particular place is my very first recurring dungeon. Designed it a few weeks after I first learned how to play D&D. This dungeon first saw use in June of 1980. By my count on my kill tally sheet for this dungeon, this place is accounted for 17 player characters and 27 non-player characters. This is my dungeon of Wizard's Walk. It's been active in my campaign since June of 1980. Today I'm going to take a quick overview of the walk, give you an idea of how I used it, how it was originally designed, and how it's still alive in my campaign. I hope you enjoy it. At the confluence of the Erie and Nein River, in the world of Greyhawk, just a little southeast of the city of Greyhawk, lies a small town right there. That small town is the town of Midal. Midal is not famous at all, except for being a river town. The thing of importance about Midal is its proximity to its famous neighbor, Wizard's Walk. Wizard's Walk was a campaign dungeon I started in 1980, first level. The idea being that this was an old research center where wizards would go ahead and conduct their research in privacy and isolation, being able to unwrap all kinds of mystic marvels. A place where the wizards could walk and contemplate. Thus it became known as the Wizard's Walk, or as the locals call it, the Walk. For years it's been abandoned and rumored to hold treasures beyond belief. You have come from Midal. You are headed toward Wizard's Walk to try your luck, as so many have before you. Now, a look at Wizard's Walk. Wizard's Walk is my first recurring dungeon. I created this just a few weeks after learning how to DM D&D. After, in fact, learning of D&D. I started this campaign in June of 1980, and for the next 8 to 10 years, this was a frequent place for my player characters to find themselves. It started out as a brand new first level campaign, and then of course as the players got higher level, I had to increase the challenge of the dungeon. Wizard's Walk has several levels. This first level consists of the graveyard, which you see depicted here, with all kinds of ghoulies and monsters in it. The idea of the graveyard was just to give them a place to know that they were going to be facing some undead. Depending on the level, you've got some skeletons, maybe a wraith if they're slightly higher level, whatever he might be. And then there's other more mundane creatures that lurk in the graveyard just outside the walk, which would include a griffin, a giant snake, a scorpion. You get my drift. The idea of Wizard's Walk always was, or tradition rather of Wizard's Walk always was, that as the party approached the walk, they would get attacked outside. I had some games that took place almost entirely outside, depending on what the party did in response to the various attacks that came their way. This first section, just past the graveyard, is the main entrance to Wizard's Walk. There's another side entrance right here just outside the graveyard. This section of the walk is essentially a ruin. Most of the area has fallen into disrepair. It's been plundered many times over. Many player characters have been here. I've run this campaign off and on since I've started DMing. This actually started in the basic Holmes edition, the box set, and then transited to AD&D. So this is an oldie for me, and virtually everyone I have DM'd over the years has at one time or another been in Wizard's Walk. In fact, I just ran this last night. I had I realized that neither one of my sons had ever actually played in Wizard's Walk. So I went ahead and I ran a game last night where they were 4th and 5th level characters coming to the walk to try their luck. They encountered the typical skeletons, a griffin, gave them a pretty good fight. The scorpion scared the heck out of them, but they took care of him no problem. And the giant snake, and as many players before them, they despaired they'd ever get through the door. They chose to go through the main door, and another tradition of Wizard's Walk that I started back in 1980 was the first encounter, orcs. I loved orcs. Still love orcs. None of the creatures that are on this level of Wizard's Walk actually live here. They're here for the same reason the player characters are here. They're looking for treasure. So these orcs in the main hallway here with the big table and the owlbear rug were actually just treasure hunters, just like the player characters. This is a pretty good fight actually, even though they're only 4th and 5th level. I had a couple of the orcs that were slightly stronger than standard. We use Uruk-hai in our campaign and always have. There's an Uruk-hai for you. Old Bralpartha figure. And this was quite a good brawl. I got in a few good licks, but they ultimately did end up prevailing. After the battle they've had out here, they were actually down quite a few hit points. Coming out through the door, a Cyclops. That was a quick encounter. Even though it was a hallway, they were kind of able to stay in the doorway and just kind of take him out. Coming up the corridor, they went to this room again. These are just treasure hunters. These goblins do not live here. They were treasure hunting. They had found that chest but had not yet been able to open it. When the player characters found them, that was over very quickly. They came up this way, found a secret door through here, went into here. This is a minor trapped entity, a type of demon. I used the Yachlal figure from WizKids for it. I like the skull post in the center, and there's a small chest. They got a little bit of treasure out of that. They ended up coming this way, down this corridor, where they fought basically a hobgoblin champion. He was a pretty good brawl, actually. He ended up going one-on-one with the main fighter in the doorway, and got him a few good looks before he met his maker. And here, of course, they found a couple of cloaks. Oh, goody, magic items. Let's put them on, except my players are very wary. They suspected they might be cloakers, and in fact they were. That was a good battle as well. This is the other entryway that leads back outside Wizard's Walk. Coming back down Wizard's Walk, they didn't make it this far last night. There's another doorway there. This is like a minor specter type creature, but no energy drain. I don't do that to 4th and 5th level characters. And then another hooded specter type figure leading down the corridor to other parts of the dungeon. The first level of Wizard's Walk, this level, is basically in ruin. It's very easy to come and go. Most of the doors are unlocked and untrapped. Some of the walls are actually breached, so you can just come in and out. So I can put pretty much anything I want in this level. And as they continue down the corridor, there are a few more rooms in this level, and it leads to an area that's a definite break. And I'm going to go into that in a future video. So the idea for last night was just to introduce them to Wizard's Walk, get them used to it. My wife and one of my other players has been through Wizard's Walk many times. My wife's been through it probably most of anybody. She's been through it probably dozens of times. But since I always change out the monsters, the layout stays virtually the same. That's the only real difference. So once they finished up last night, they gained some treasure, not a ton. After all, they are only 4th and 5th level. And then they were going to exit the dungeon, but then they remembered my curious custom of Wizard's Walk, which is once you go outside Wizard's Walk, you tend to get attacked. You can nap, or make camp and rest up just outside the walk, a couple 100 feet away. That's fine, but as you enter and exit, you do tend to be attacked by random monsters. I actually write up a random monster chart based on the player character's levels, and I use that to keep them on their toes. So this is the first video I'm going to do on Wizard's Walk. I'm planning on doing more to show other levels of Wizard's Walk and some of the more areas that really haven't changed much since my original incarnation. Wizard's Walk has many levels below ground. This level, as I said, is above ground and in ruin, kind of reminiscent of the Moat House, but since I had not ever heard of the Moat House when I designed this, that's purely coincidental. I was introduced to the Moat House about 6 months later, the first time I played in Temple of Elemental Evil. That was another DM entirely. This iteration of Wizard's Walk has remained pretty much unchanged, although I did embrace the similarities between the Moat House and Wizard's Walk once I became more aware of them. So that's really it for part 1 of Wizard's Walk. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you'll come with me the next time we delve into Wizard's Walk. Thank you for watching. Well, that closes the book on another episode of page 121. Please leave your comments below, and if you enjoyed what you saw, go ahead and hit the like button and subscribe to the channel.